Hey guys, good morning. We are in the car. Woohoo! Yay! We've got Toby back there. We've got Aniela. James is driving. Because it's flipped, it looks like I am, but I'm not. It's okay. There is a driving steering wheel, so we know that we're safe. Whenever we do these lives, people often go, oh no, you're driving. How are you doing a live? We're not. Okay, we're not. So we're on the road. We left about half an hour ago. We've stopped for coffee in the Keep Cup. We've got our almond milk latte, we've got water, we've packed snacks. Happy days. James somehow managed to fit everything in the back like an absolute legend.
Goodness.
This is where years of playing Tetris
Finally pays off.
That's right.
Ooh,
Ta-da! He just got the 4-row and the it was all good. Okay, so we're talking a bit about the book today, and we were flicking through going, what are we going to talk about? And I want to talk a little bit about developing consistency in your brand. Now, as part of that, what tends to happen is, hey Cherie, great to see you on here. I think we're looking forward to seeing you in Canberra, which is going to be awesome. Whenever we have branding in our website, whenever we have branding in our business, branding becomes something that's consistent that people start to get to understand. They start to get to know and become familiar with your brand, the colors, the consistency, the fonts. And it's really interesting. A big challenge or problem that we see, a mistake that we see therapists making often, is that they have, a brochure that looks a bit like this, they've got a website that looks a bit like that, they have a Facebook page that's entirely different, they have everything is a massive big mismatch and a mishmash of everything. And we want to talk about consistent, that's right, the mismatching. Now, one of the things that we want to talk about, which just coincidentally, if you have a look at James and I's shirt, we are on point and earrings to match. So we've got, our branding is becoming extremely consistent. We did that unconsciously before we even started the live, which you can see even from the color of the book. Now, consistency in branding is important because people need to become familiar with you, with your brand, before they actually come in to see you. And your brand is an extension of you in the treatment room. Now, James is a designer, and one of the things that I remember him saying was things like, you can only ever use one type of font, and when you pick that font, you use that same font everywhere. This was one of the dinner conversations that we would have when he was running his agency. So we'd talk about, I've got this client, he's trying to use this and this and this, and people will say things like, I just want my website to pop more. And that would kind of like, he'd be eye twitching and cringing, going, no! And so understanding the environment and the culture that you want to have in your branding throughout your business is really, really important. So I'm going to let James talk while he's driving a little bit about branding, because he's got a lot, I'm sure, of exciting things to say about this.
I just wanted to share one little story, more about the importance of branding. But on this trip, we had to hire a data projector to bring with us, right? Because we're going to a few places that don't have data projectors. And so I just Googled, and 3 or 4 different places come up. They're just like called things like Geelong Appliance Centre and this and that. And I'm sure they're great businesses, but none of them looked really special or anything. They were just small things doing nothing fancy. But then one of them was called Rentasaur, the big name in rentals. And it's got like a little logo of a dinosaur, like wearing a little shirt. And I'm like, hey, that looks pretty cool. And I clicked through to their website, and the whole thing felt kind of fun. Like the brand that they're developing is this kind of fun logo, fun fonts. And I'm not saying it's the best brand in the world, but it had a brand that was giving me a feeling. Instead of just kind of saying what they did, it had a bit of attitude to it. And it carried through everything. When I went down there to pick this stuff up, they've got the trucks that have the same logo on the side, and they do a lot of sort of home delivery style stuff. You go in the warehouse, they've got these kind of brochure stand things at the desk that all have brochures that are all branded the same. And me, being a marketer, I kind of value that kind of thing. And even though they're a small business, just a husband and wife running this little thing in an outer suburb of Geelong, it's not a big business, it's small, but they've got their branding on point, and it really sets them apart from every other place in the whole city, in the whole of Geelong, that does rentals. And they're doing quite well. I was talking to them like they're just kicking around running a business. They don't really know what they're doing, but they're doing well. And the wife who does it just happens to really like the creative side of branding. She likes being creative with her visuals. And so I just wanted to share that. It's something that can set you apart from other people. And what we're looking to do with our brand is actually express the feeling of who we are. So sports brands, if you're a sports therapist, will look very different from relaxation or spa style brands, which will look very different from the more sort of spiritual side of things. If you're doing Reiki or healing style stuff, you can express that just with the colors and fonts, your logo, that kind of stuff, the photography, before you even tell anyone anything. Straight away, as soon as they see your website or a brochure or even your clinic, your internal space, they should just get a feeling for what it is that you do. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. And we used to have this discussion quite a lot. Like I said, it's Aniela's smiling in the background. We used to have this discussion a lot in when you were running the design agency, because people would just have this massive mishmash of everything. And it's something that we, hey Annie Helen, it's something that we also talk through when we in part of the Fully Booked with That Burnout program. In week 2, we look at tribe and how to do tribe even better. And one of the things that we do is create a design brief, which is what is the language you use to tell other people how to help you create your brand. What are the fonts that you use, in 1 or 2 fonts? Style guide, that's what it's called. And like, people will sometimes just literally get their logo and enlarge it or shrink it, which...
or stretch it like this.
Yeah.
They grab it sideways so it shrinks down and wide, and my eye starts twitching a little bit. Like,
it's
you
bad.
Can't do that
just
stuff.
Don't do that stuff. It's bad. Because you need to be consistent. And if you... visually, you, like Sam said, we want to actually be able to create a feeling with the kind of the essence of
and
the brand.
Another poor example of someone doing this badly, I remember going to meet a client once, and it was a bloke, and he had a t-shirt on, like a what are they called,
shirt,
a little polo shirt with his logo on the polo shirt, and then he handed me a business card that had a different logo on it but the same business name. And then he showed me his website, which had a different logo and a different business name, because he hadn't been able to get the domain name that he wanted or something, so he just used a different business name on the website. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how can anyone know who you are? It's like everything you do is diluted, because someone sees your ad somewhere with one logo and then they don't relate it to the other stuff that you're doing. So you're working 3 times as hard as you need to get any traction with this. So that's what we want to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that we did at the clinic. It didn't matter if you arrived at the clinic and saw the window signage, if you picked up a brochure to